Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. I wanted to talk about the Sick and Tired of Waiting, aka Brittany, and basically how, she passed away. So I was not, by the way, it's very hot. This is just when I can record, and I just figure it's better to just talk than to try to wait for the perfect time. So I'm just gonna do it. This is when I have time. But anyways, I was watching it. I was watching Sam at Every Size. She did a video on Brittany. And I don't know how I missed this. Like, I didn't see this when it happened. I know obviously it kind of rippled through the sort of, fatosphere, so to speak. But when I was watching Sam's video, it's one of those things that I don't know if people who have never struggled with BED or people who have never been fat or whatever, I don't know if they can understand that sort of fear that comes with watching a video like that. But when I was watching it, and when I was hearing about the story and really considering it, fat acceptance in a lot of ways has already won, because people genuinely do not believe it is unhealthy to be fat. When I talk about my health issues, there have been many times where I've talked about it and people have told me that I'm being a hypochondriac, or that I must be making it up in my head, or that I don't really know what I'm talking about, and numerous things like that. And I was, at my biggest, I was almost 400 pounds. I probably was, I don't have the numbers exactly, but I was probably towards 60% body fat at my highest. And even before that, I had so many health issues in regards to my hypothyroidism. It had gotten so bad by the time I was 28, which is the same age that Brittany passed away. When I was thinking about that and really considering it as I'm watching this and I'm hearing about the story, it's there are times, I don't know, for me at least, I'm told all the time that I'm so extra. I always think about my body, and all this stuff. And I've been accused of doing it for attention. I've been accused of everything, and not really by fat activists, but just by people online and sort of in this space. People do that. I got most of my hate from the vegan community, which I know is really weird, but it's because I was involved and it was just a weird thing for a moment in time that, I don't really talk about as much, but if you know, you know. And so a lot of that stuff came from vegans and came from people that were very, very invested in, when I would talk about how horrible I felt when I was vegan and stuff, they had reasons to dislike me because it was against their agenda. And I think that that's where, like I said, in a lot of ways, fat acceptance has already won, because the general public in a lot of ways believe people when they say, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Even though when it comes to people like me or people like Sam at Every Size, other people within this space who have been that fat, who know what it's like, we know you're not fine. You will never convince me that you are fine, because I know what it's like to be almost 400 pounds. You are not fine. And as you get older, and for me, when I got to 28, I knew I was dying. I could tell. And you try different things. Like I wanted to make it, you know? And I could feel it. And there were different times where I could feel my health dipping worse throughout my 20s. But the worst one was when I was 28. And it's so weird to see that this person did die at 28. It's like, it's very haunting and sobering. And I never have really experienced a form of like survivor's guilt until I was watching that. And I was like, I think I'm getting out of this. And it just kills me. Because there's so much noise around being overweight. When I tell you that I feel sick or that I have felt very ill, you need to believe it. I'm not coming on here and saying I feel sick just because. I really do. You know, it's like, I try to say things, I try to be as honest as possible, not just with you guys, but with myself, because I knew I was dying. And I agree with Sam, like there's this TikTok where Brittany was talking about how she didn't want to say, she said, that's just my experience. That's my experience, that binge eating has caused this issue. That's my experience. Honey, that is fat acceptance permeating. That is fat acceptance. The truth is, if you're her size, it's killing you too. You will die. This isn't a joke. When you're very, very big, if you feel like you're dying, you probably are. And I don't mean that to scare you. I just mean it in a sense that when you're having these obesity-related symptoms and you're very, very big, you have to treat it like a snake in the grass. You have to watch it, pay attention to that snake, and make sure it doesn't bite you. Because you can't just snap your fingers and get out of obesity. You can't do that. It's like drowning. It's like you have to slowly let the water recede. And you have to kind of sit with it. And people don't want to do that. It's not pleasant. It really isn't. But that's the reality. Like, I wish that people could understand that there are many things in life that are not pleasant. There are many things in life that are ugly, that are difficult, and one of those is healing. Healing can be ugly, and a lot of people, they don't want to deal with it. They would rather pass away, and it's so sad to see that this young woman passed away, in part because of fat acceptance, because you can tell, because she said the words. And that's my experience. What I hear when I hear somebody say that is, I hear somebody that when she was my size, she believed the BS. And by the time she was waking up to the realities of it, it was too late for her. Because when you have especially severe BED, it can take a long time to fight it. For me personally, I made a video about it that I will link. It took me around 5 years to get rid of it. It was very deadly, very scary, very serious, and it took fighting it. You can hear the sirens. It was very difficult. And if I had waited until I was almost 500 pounds or almost 600 pounds, I'm sure I'm much taller than her. If I had waited until I was at her equivalent of size to start fighting it, I don't think I would have made it either. Because that's the thing with being overweight. You think you're okay until you aren't. You think it's fine until it isn't. And it just kills me. So when I come on here and I talk about fat acceptance, when I talk about this type of logic, it is because it is very, very serious. It is a grave issue. When I get angry at the way people handle the fatness issue, like on this channel, I am going to be talking about how we talk a lot about how people on the left have been handling the issue of fatness. I will be talking about how people on the right handle it as well, because you have a catch-22 situation where you have one side saying any and all limitations and restrictions are bad, and you have the other side upholding an unattainable standard for the vast majority of fat people, something that they cannot do. And you just have a situation where fat people are switching between the two and then just getting bigger and bigger and bigger with time. But I'll start with this. If you have an ED, if you have BED, it is very serious. It is very misunderstood, and it is very downplayed in society. You will have people tell you it doesn't matter. You will have people tell you that's just the way you're supposed to be. You will have people tell you all these different things because they're trying to be nice, or maybe not so nice. But you have to know, and you do know that there's something wrong with it. You do know that it's a problem. And if you can accept that yourself, you go, you find a therapist, you find a spiritual practice, you find something to do to resolve the issue. And if you go to a therapist and they tell you it doesn't matter and all this stuff, you find another therapist. Because it's a serious, deadly issue. Take it seriously. Okay? I'm gonna go. I'm sorry for any background noise, but I just had to talk about that. If you want to see anything else I posted, it's all here. But if you have any questions, let me know, and I will try to answer them in a future video or whatever. If I see something that's really important to talk about. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.